When we stand at the threshold of the unknown, we know that the only way forward is to leap. It's a courageous act, but one that leads us to the life we are truly meant to live. At the crossing of every line, there's a choice to stay in the safety of what we know or to step into the mystery of what we've yet to discover. Both paths carry their own rewards. There's a part of us that longs for certainty, but the real growth comes when we let go of that certainty and step into the unknown with nothing but trust in the journey ahead. To cross a line is to trust the unknown, to believe that even when things seem uncertain, there's a greater plan unfolding. And it's only by moving forward that we begin to see the beauty of it. In the space between decisions, we feel both fear and excitement. But once we cross that line, we realize that fear is just the precursor to the freedom we seek. Sometimes, the line we must cross is not one that others see. It's the one within us, the one that asks us to let go of old patterns and step into something greater. It's the choice to leave behind what we know, to move beyond the safe confines of our comfort zone, and to embrace the endless possibilities of what lies ahead. The unknown is terrifying because it's so vast, but the reward of stepping into it is beyond measure. When we cross that line, we allow ourselves to expand into something far greater than we've ever known. Every line crossed is a declaration that we are ready for change. It's a moment of profound courage, knowing that what lies ahead will be different, but trusting that it will be better. The only way to truly live is to step past that line, to embrace uncertainty, to let go of the need for control, and to allow ourselves to be shaped by whatever comes next. There's an overwhelming sense of finality when we cross a line, but in truth, it's not an end. It's the beginning of something much larger than we can imagine in this moment. In every choice, we are presented with a chance to evolve. Crossing that line means embracing the possibility of becoming someone new, someone who is free to grow beyond the limits of the past. It's the courage to step into the unknown that defines us. When we cross that line, we leave behind everything familiar, but we open ourselves to a future that's as wide and vast as our potential. The journey ahead is often hidden in the mist of uncertainty. But once we cross that line, we find that the fog begins to lift, revealing a landscape we never could have anticipated. The heart knows when it's time to take the leap. Crossing that line means letting go of old fears and opening ourselves to the infinite possibilities that await us. Each new step we take beyond the line brings us closer to a version of ourselves we haven't yet met. But it's only in the act of crossing that we can begin to discover who we are becoming. When we reach the threshold of a new phase in life, we realize that there's no map to guide us. But by crossing that line, we trust that the journey itself will unfold with wisdom. The real magic of life is not in the safe zones we remain in, but in the moments we dare to cross the lines that separate us from the things we desire most. Crossing a line is an act of faith. Faith that the future is waiting for us to step into it, that even when things seem uncertain, there's a larger purpose guiding us forward. The hardest part is often not crossing the line, but in embracing the newness that comes afterward. Change is always a little scary, but it's also where we find our deepest growth. Once that line is crossed, there's a sense of finality in the air, but there's also a profound sense of possibility, knowing that everything that comes next is a result of the choice we made. The line between the past and the future is thin, but it's also where we find our strength. When we cross it, we leave behind what was and step into what could be. It's a brave soul who steps beyond that line, knowing that there's no turning back. But sometimes it's only by going forward that we uncover the truth of who we're meant to be. Crossing the line is an invitation to trust. Trust in ourselves, trust in the process, and trust that even in moments of uncertainty, we're exactly where we need to be. At the edge of that line, we are presented with the choice to remain where we are or to step forward into something entirely new. What awaits us beyond is the unknown, but it's also full of potential. Crossing that line means taking ownership of our destiny. It's a commitment to the future, to the life we want to create, even if we can't see all the pieces just yet. The line we cross is both a boundary and a gateway. Once we pass it, we discover the vastness of our potential, the possibility of growth, and the freedom to become who we truly are. The moment we step past the point of no return, the world changes. It's not just the circumstances, but the way we see everything around us. Are we ready for that transformation, knowing there's no going back? There's a place within us where choices no longer feel like options, but inevitable turns. Crossing that line means embracing the unknown, surrendering to the journey that's already begun. In our hearts, we feel the pull of what lies ahead, and yet there's a hesitancy to take that first step. But the truth is, we can only go forward, and the courage is in that acceptance of the unknown. Life has a way of testing us with decisions that ask more than our mind is willing to give. But when you feel that line coming closer, you realize that this moment will define everything that follows. Sometimes the hardest part isn't making the decision, but accepting that once that choice is made, there's no turning back. The journey becomes irreversible, and we must find the strength to embrace it. Crossing a threshold isn't about the destination, it's about what happens to us in the process. We may never go back to who we were before, and that's where our true transformation lies. At the point where all roads converge, there's only one way to go, even if we can't predict what happens next. But there's beauty in trusting that the path will unfold as it's meant to. The line between the familiar and the unknown feels like a divide in our souls. Once we cross it, we step into a new world where only our resolve will guide us forward. There are moments in life that demand courage, where the next step is uncertain, but we must walk forward anyway, knowing we cannot return to the safety of what we've known. The heart knows when the time has come to make a choice. Once the line is crossed, there's no looking back, only moving forward into the vast unknown that beckons us with open arms. Each decision we make carries the weight of 1,000 potential futures. When we cross a line, we're stepping into one of those futures, leaving behind all the others we could have had. Some decisions aren't just choices, they're thresholds. Crossing them means surrendering to the mystery of what's ahead and trusting ourselves to navigate through what we can't predict. In every moment, we are presented with a line, one that promises change but asks for our courage. Once crossed, we find that the world around us becomes a reflection of the choice we made. Life has a strange way of guiding us to a point where we know the next step will alter everything. It's that moment where we stand on the edge, unsure but knowing we can't stay in the past. Crossing that line is like taking a leap into the unknown. There's no map to follow, but there's a certain excitement in trusting that the journey will lead us exactly where we need to go. There's a feeling of finality when we approach a decision that has the power to change everything. Crossing the line means give the comfort of what we know, but the promise of growth and discovery is irresistible. The moment we stand at the edge of the unknown, we realize that there's no safety net. But perhaps that's the beauty of it, that the risk is the only way to find the freedom we seek. Once we choose the path beyond that line, we let go of the idea of control. We surrender to the flow of life, embracing whatever comes next without looking back. There's a kind of beauty in the uncertainty of crossing a line. It's a step that asks us to trust ourselves, to know that even if we can't see the way ahead, we are strong enough to walk it. The lines we draw in life often feel like limits, but they're really invitations to leap. The moment we cross them, we discover new possibilities that once seemed unreachable. Life doesn't always give us a clear choice between the past and the future. Sometimes crossing that line feels like a decision made for us, but in truth, it's a chance to choose who we become. To cross a line is to move beyond the boundaries of who we think we are and into the possibility of who we are meant to become. It's a sacred kind of growth. When we stand before that line, our current selves beg us to stay, but our future selves whisper that there's more waiting beyond. The hardest part is having the courage to listen. There's a tension in every choice we make, but the most defining moments are those where we know we can't return. That's when we grow, when we transform, and when we truly live. The space between here and there is where all the magic happens. Crossing that line is the moment when we step into the unknown, ready to shape our future with the choices we make. The real challenge isn't in crossing the line, it's in fully embracing the change that comes afterward. That's when the journey truly begins, and everything we've ever known is transformed.